Hey guys, welcome back to CRDMODS. This is Rahul for you. So this time we came up with a new video for the Superbike Essential General Service, especially for the Hayabusa Generation 2. So I do have a lineup of Motul products behind me. Have a glance over them. Coming over to the point of engine oil, what does a Hayabusa service center suggest it? The engine oil to be used, that is 10W40 SN grade at least, and Jaso M82 from the service center. It is suggested to use Suzuki ECS Star, but what I heard from the market is that like in the service center they are going to use Motul 300V as a default for the super bikes. You guys might have a question that when you have spent almost 2100 for the cooling fluid, then why did you compromise on the engine oil? That would be the first question when you see this 7100 bottle. To be precise, 7100 also a part of Motul performance fully synthetic oils. So there is one difference, I'll tell you. Engine oil should be suitable for your riding style usually, and as I told you that the brake fluid, what I suggested, if you're going for the track days and a frequent aggressive driver, you're supposed to use 5.1. So similarly, if you are a guy who usually take your bike to the track days much more, you're an aggressive driver, you rev a lot, it's like it depends on your driving style, right? So if you're aggressive driver, so then probably you're supposed to go for the 300V motor. Why I'm using a 7100 engine oil for my bike? I very frequently go for the track days. I most of the travel in the street, as I told you. I'm not bit aggressive driver. For my requirement, this is gonna match me. It's not that it's less than that 300V. What's the difference here is that like if you can just understand the technology, the fuels are built up. Is a SP variant. If you see that API SP, which is rated here, which is SP is the latest of the your safety or the performance or the mileage, everything. On the standards is the latest. It's API standards based on the American thing. And you do have JASO MA2. MA2 is especially for the bikes. This guy, if you can see here, is Ester. Just go with this word, Ester. The Motul 7100 is also has a composition of ester molecules in the engine oil. What is this ester do actually? So usually what happens when you run the vehicle, right? Engine oil flows all over your gearbox and all the engine bay and everywhere, right? So assume that a normal engine oil usually can float on the gears and glide out, but these ester molecules, when you have these ester molecules in engine oil, the same engine oil with ester molecules will actually clings on your internal parts of your vehicle. So what happens clinging is that like even if you are rotating it in a high 10,000 rpm also, it has the grip, the engine oil sticks to the gears and everything. So what is the difference between the 300V? And 300V is especially the ester core, which has more composition of ester molecules into the engine oil. So what it does is that it has a higher stability than the 7100. So I hope you guys understood like why it is that. Then one more major call what we're going to take here is that this 7100, let us assume that usually your normal engine oil change is around, it would run around 5000 kilometers for 7100, but in a case of 300V it runs around 3 to 4000 kilometers, because what happens is that the more of ester molecules in your engine oil, it absorbs the moisture. So then that is one of the drawback for the ester molecules. So the more the ester molecules, it will absorb the more the moisture. So you should wisely choose for as per your requirement. It's not that you have a super bike and you are supposed to always go for 300V. If you're having a 390, you're always supposed to go for some 5100 or 7100. It's not like that. It all depends how aggressive you are and how aggressive your bike responds you back. One more the major catch people might ask, like you have chosen the 10W50, but even my car runs with 10W50, can I use that engine oil in my bike? It's a big no, because car engine oil are very built for a different purpose. Okay, it has a different gearbox oil. So in for bikes you don't have a different gearbox oil. So whatever the oil you are going to use on your engine, that circulates to the gearbox and everything. But for the cars it has a different setup, so don't go with that. So what happens if you go accidentally add it? What happens is that usually our super bikes and all other bike two wheelers have system called of wet clutch plates. So what happens when you add a car engine oil to this bike, it usually slips at a higher rpm and sometimes even at a mid rpm too. So it's not suggested to use car engine oils into a vehicle. And it might be difficult to understand how do you notify that. There is a Japanese thing, certification of JASO. It's called as MA2. This JASO is specially, you can find this specification only for the two wheeler engine oils. You can't find it for four wheeler. So if you find JASO, you can buy that engine oil. They're also rating. I'll also show you that what are the ratings for that. It's MA2. MA2 is the latest one, and API SP, it's also a latest one. So it actually goes with the latest standards and upgraded thing. Like what we have dot 5.1, it's kind of similar to that. Over to 10W50, because as per my requirement, as my driving conditions and where I stay, I do suggest 10W50. If you are living in hotter environments, most of you guys need to go for one 10W50 instead of 10W42. So even in the service manual, you have an exclusion over there. You can use that. You can check the service manual over there. And how much of oil is required, because I brought 1.5 liter of three cans. That's probably around 3 4.5 liters. So what actually Booza requires, a Booza Gen 2 requires around 3100 ml of engine oil into the bay if you're not going to change your oil filter. That's very vague case. Usually whenever you change oil, it always suggests you guys to change the oil filter. So with changing the oil filter, you are supposed to add around 3300 ml of engine oil into the bay, because sometimes on based on driving conditions the level of the oil may come down. So it's always suggested to have one of the spare bottle in reserve. So that's the reason I brought 4.5 liters. If required, I can add it in my next service. That also works. So that's about these things. So, and the other part is that I do have a very good air filter already installed, so I don't need to change that. A small little guy, he's called as engine flush, very famous into the automobile industry. You can add this and flush out. Please let me know, and to which superbike do you own. I wanted to get my vehicle service in the showroom itself, service center itself, but they don't have the engine oil stock as of now, so I can't wait much further for my service. And I wanted to add the 7100 engine oil, and I want to use the engineized coolant. These consumables are not allowed to carry into service center. They don't add what are the consumables you get from your end. So they only add the consumables which are available and suggested. So you don't have a 7100 over there, and you don't have a engineized coolant over there. So that's about this, guys. Stay tuned for CRD modes and much more videos coming up, rolled up. So if you like the content, please give us a like and subscribe this channel if you're watching for the first time. Stay tuned, guys. Take care.